Okay, this program shows how to implement some math calculations. This program does feet to meters. So the user enters in feet diameter or a feet length and converts it to meter. Have an image up here I found online. 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. That's what we'll use for the calculation equation as well. So there's a picture box here with an image I put up here, a label, text box, a button for submitting, a button to reset everything, a label that's going to be hidden initially for the meter results, and another label here to put the results of the meter in there, conversion from feet to meter. So let's go ahead and look at the code here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the submit button. And I have some logic in here that first determines if the feet box is empty or not. If it is empty, then a message box pops up and says number required, and then focuses back on that text box. If it is fulfilled, meaning the text feet is populated, it's going to calculate by using text feet text box times 3.28 ampersand beginning quote space meters, just for aesthetics to make sure it looks good. And then the meters label is going to be shown true. So let's run it and see how it works, and we'll talk about validation next. I'm going to go and enter a 1.25 feet, converts to 4.1 meters. Then if I hit reset, I'm back to the beginning. Now if I try to enter in numbers, which I'm trying to do, you can't see on the podcast, but I'm trying to enter letters. I mean, it's not allowing me to. And let's try to do another decimal here. We'll do 12.52 or 54. And I'll try to put another decimal in there, and it will not let me. And then I'll hit submit, and there's a submission of 12.54 feet converted to 41.1312 meters. So let's look at the validation for this text entry box. So in order to do that, I double click on the text box, which is called txt feet. And I want to go to, it'll immediately go to text changed. I want to go to the keyboard press or the key press. And what this does, anytime a user enters in anything in the text box, it goes here. And you can use key press handle, so it's called the key press event args, to determine what key they've actually pressed to validate. So I want to allow number, 1 decimal, and that's it. Or numbers and 1 decimal, and that's it. So a digit, a decimal type of numeric. So in order to do that, let's start out with the first if logic. If it's not a number, not a decimal, or it's the back, or not the, actually it should be not a back. If it's not a number, decimal, or back button, then don't allow. So here I use if char.isDigit, keychar, which is the code to determine when they press on the button or the text box, you use e.keychar equals false, meaning that key, whatever key it was they pressed, so let's press letter A, it's going to be false. It's not a number. And if keychar is not equal to a decimal, and if keychar is not equal to the back button or the delete button if you have a Mac. And so if it's not one of those three, if it's not a back, a decimal point, or a number, it's going to go to this e handle equals true, which it just won't allow that entry to enter in the text box. Now if it passes that, meaning it's all three of these are basically false, in the fact that yes, it is a digit, it is either a decimal or it is either a back button, it's going to go to the next else path. And now it's going to determine here if there's more than one decimal allowed. So if there's more than one decimal allowed, what will happen is if I hit, like for instance, I have a 1 in there already, and I hit a 1.25 in there already, and then I hit a dot after that, here's a line it's going to catch here. Because it's going to be, is it a eChar dot? Yes, it is a dot operator. And does that dot operator exist in the text box already? And if it does, that means there's one that already exists, and so it's not going to allow it. And so again, eHandles equals true, won't allow that, so more than one decimal. So the first if logic is it won't allow if it's not a number, with this logic here, char.isDigit, keychar, not a period or a decimal point, and it's not a back button. This code here, if it passes that, meaning it is a keychar or a digit, it is a dot, or it is a backspace, it's going to go to the next one. Well, if it's let's say it's 1 and then it's dot, I'm trying to type in 1 dot, it's going to catch it here. Yeah, that's going to be true. And will it contain a dot operator? No, it won't, because it's the very first dot in the string. So it's going to use what exists in that text feet, which right now is only the number 1. So it's going to bypass that one and go to this one. Is it a back button? No. So now it's finally going to go to else, and it's going to handle that as false, meaning it's going to let it through on the text box entry. So an easy way to also look at how this is working is you can put breakpoints by clicking on each one of these e.dot handles. Okay, I can put a breakpoint on each one of those, run the app. And let's do the first one, which we'll put in like the number 1. And notice it went down here to the else path at the very bottom. And we can hover over these codes to see how it's working. Right now it's is digit 1. Well, 1 is a digit, so this is going to be false. Or actually, it's is char equals false, meaning that statement there is looking for the reverse logic. So is digit false? No, it's true. It is a digit. Is it a dot operator? No, it's a digit. Is it a backspace? No, it's a digit. So it's going to bypass that one. Next one, is it a dot operator? No, it's a digit. Is it contain dot operator in the string? No. So goes to the next one. Is it a backspace? No, it's a digit. So it finally ends up here. So I'm going to hit continue on my code. Now I'm going to type in a dot operator. So here, dot operator does exist on the else, but if I hover over text feet, you'll notice only the number 1's in there thus far, so it's going to pass this one and pass the backspace and go again to the false, meaning it's going to show up. Now go ahead and type in, let's try another dot operator. Just say by mistake we put it up. There we go. Now it stops here in the second else logic, because yes, it is a dot operator and it does exist already in the text feet. So because of that, eHandles true means it's not going to allow it in that text box at all. So I'll hit continue. And you'll notice how in the text box it's gone now. It's not even there again. So I'm going to put another number in there. We'll put 5. It should go to the last else. Good. Oops. I'll do that again. And we'll do now another number 5. The last handle. Meaning, yeah, it's allowed. It is a number. Now I want to say instead of putting this 5, I want to put a 4 in there instead. So I'm going to hit the backspace. You'll notice how it goes to the else path for the backspace. Now that it's past the first logic, meaning this whole line has to be true, well, it's false. It is a backspace. There is a backspace in there. It is false here because it's a backspace. It's not a dot operator. And it's true here because, yes, it does have the backspace in there, the VB back, so it's going to go there. And this time I just changed it from e-handle false, meaning it's going to allow it now to go into the text box command and put a backspace. So if I continue, now it's back to where it was, and then finally I'm going to change that to 4, which goes to the last else path. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit submit to show you the logic for the calculation. I'm going to put another breakpoint up here on that line because that's where the calculation occurs. And I'm going to hover over the text box. It's 1.54 times 3.28. And you'll notice as I hover over the text box itself, especially when I put my cursor towards the end, it's going to give me, in just a second, the results here when I hover over LBL results. Right now I've not went beyond this line. So let me go ahead and go up here to the top of my Visual Basic Code. I'm going to click on this button here, which is a step over, or you could do a Shift F8 as well. And it's going to go to the next line, so we can hover over this LBL results and notice it's 5.0512. I can also get the same results by hovering over at the end here. If I hover over text feed, then 3.28, it's going to give me the same results here. There it is right there. And so as I hover over it, it gives me the entire calculation there. So text feed times 3.28 is going to be, it's going to show up on the label in just a second, 5.0512 meters. So if I hit continue, there is the results that we already saw in the breakpoint. So breakpoint's going to help you kind of step through. The other thing I want to mention or catch is the, we'll put a breakpoint here on the if logic if it does nothing exist. Well, before we do that, let's do the reset. Let's do the reset. I'm going to put a breakpoint in the reset logic. So I'm going to hit the reset button. First thing it's going to do, right now the text feed box has a 1.54. I'm going to hit step over. It's now been cleared. Text LBL results has the 5.0512 meters. I'm going to step over that. It'll clear that out. And then this one's going to hide the meters label. And then this one's going to set the focus back on the text feed. I'm going to keep hitting continue. It'll go back to the form. Now that's where I want it. Now if I try to hit submit here, I've already got a breakpoint up here, which it should catch it. It's going to see if text feed is equal to 0, meaning, or empty quotes, meaning nothing's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this works. There it is. It went to the true path, meaning it was empty. I'm going to hit step over. Popped up the message box, number required, which I put in the message box in code. Hit OK. It's going to set the focus back on the text feed. I'll hit continue. And that completes the program. Now let me show you how to get rid of, I'm going to go ahead and stop the program running, stop the debug. To get rid of these breakpoints, you just click on them one by one with your mouse. Left click, it'll get rid of the breakpoints. But breakpoints will help you as you're debugging your app to see what they do, especially when you're stepping through things to see how they're working. All right, so that concludes mathematical equations, continuation of using math within Visual Basic. Choose one of your own this week from the assignment, and have a great week. Bye-bye.